This week we take the covers off of gaming's best kept secret, the 4 vs 1 co-op competitive action of Evolve. And if that's a bit too serious for you, Jimmy the Geek embraces the Valentine's Day spirit with a look at his top 5 relationships in gaming. This is Player Attack. Hi, I'm Jessica Citizen and welcome to Player Attack for 2014. We are very excited about what's in store for gamers this year, kicking off with this episode's very special look at Evolve, but right now let's take a look at the latest in gaming news. Flappy Bird first hit the App Store and Google Play back in May, but it took until this year for people to start paying attention. At its peak, the mobile game was earning creator Dong Nguyen a reported $50,000 per day in ad revenue, but the Vietnamese indie developer says it was ruining his simple life. Amid accusations of copyright infringement, claims of ratings bots and obsessive abusive fans, Nguyen decided he simply could not take it anymore. His solution? Simply deleting the ridiculously popular game from the mobile marketplace. If you grabbed a copy of Flappy Bird before February 9, it will stay on your mobile device, but if you missed it, you're out of luck. Perhaps you'd like to try one of the myriad of clones that has popped up in its wake. We hear Flappy B is selling very well. In other not-so-great news for gamers, too bad if you were hoping Warner Bros. Would get around to issuing bug fixes for last year's blockbuster Batman Arkham Origins. The studio has officially stated that it is currently working hard on upcoming story DLC, with no plans to release any further patches for the game. One niggling bug affecting Deathstroke's weaponry on PC will be tidied up at some point, but other than that, you're on your own until further notice. This is a completely polarised approach to the one taken by EA and DICE, who put DLC plans on hold recently, dedicating developer hours instead to fixing the troubled Battlefield 4. EA isn't quite out of the bad books just yet though, revealing that Titanfall has been delayed. New generation gamers and PC fans, you can relax. The delay only impacts on the Xbox 360 version of this year's much anticipated shooter. While Respawn Entertainment is putting the finishing touches on the Xbox One and PC builds, Xbox 360 developer Bluepoint reportedly needs just a little more time to get the game ready for launch. Titanfall will launch on Xbox One and PC from March 11, with the Xbox 360 edition following on March 25th. Another thing happening on March 25th is the release of the third and final chunk of DLC for Bioshock Infinite. Burial at Sea Episode 2 explores the undersea world of Rapture, created almost entirely from scratch for an updated experience, and you will finally be able to play as Elizabeth. Sticking with Bioshock for just a little longer, Ken Levine, boss man at developer Irrational Games, explains that despite statements to the contrary, he has not killed the film adaptation of the original game. Asked on Twitter whether all hope for the movie had been abandoned, Levine's response was short and sweet. "Not at all," he said, and then refused to offer any further detail. We do have plenty of details on the upcoming Need for Speed film adaptation though. It's headed to cinemas around the world from March 14, starring Breaking Bad's Aaron Paul and Captain America's Dominic Cooper. If nothing else, this one is going to be full of some very pretty, very fast automobiles.
I'm never gonna stop. You may want to close your eyes for this.
Your mind.
Disney Infinity has already embarked on a solid 2014 with this week's release of Sorcerer's Apprentice Mickey, the first time in more than 30 years that the character has been playable in a video game. But the beloved mouse is potentially not the only big name coming to the toy box, with reports coming in that Disney Interactive is looking to tap into the Star Wars and Marvel universes for future playsets. Details are vague, but with the studios all sharing the same parent company, it seems an exciting, if inevitable, combination. Ubisoft has caused a bit of a fuss this week too, with the announcement that Assassin's Creed Freedom Cry will escape the DLC shackles and get its own standalone release. Originally created as an extra downloadable campaign for Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, Freedom Cry tells the story of former slave Adewale.
The warriors among them join me. The others grow the community for which we fight. Let's begin soon. There's much to do.
Assassin's Creed Freedom Cry is hitting PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4 from February 19th, and PC gamers get their fix on February 25th. In very quick news, Activision has announced that the Call of Duty franchise is expanding to now feature 3 main branches, taking the game from a 2-year cycle to a 3-year one. Treyarch will still handle development on the Black Ops series, Infinity Ward will focus its attentions on the new Ghosts games, and Sledgehammer Games will take up the reins on Modern Warfare. Sledgehammer is no stranger to the franchise. The studio worked with Infinity Ward on 2011's Modern Warfare 3, and we won't have long to wait to see if it can stand up by itself. The first Sledgehammer Call of Duty game is due out by the end of 2014. And finally this week, few could have predicted, but it looks like Duke Nukem may well be on his way back. A new website has popped up, alloutofgum.com, complete with a ticking countdown and a packet of, wait for it, kick-ass brand spearmint bubblegum. Duke Nukem Mass Destruction is being heralded as the King's next generation debut, headed to both a PC and PlayStation. We're told Duke Nukem will kick ass across planets in an Unreal Engine powered galactic adventure, packed with all new enemies, an expressive and extensive collection of weaponry, and a bunch of series first mechanics. Yep. Series first, Mass Destruction is a top-down action RPG take on the Duke Nukem saga, and it's in the works at Interceptor Entertainment, the team who brought us the remake of Rise of the Triad. With that countdown ticking over and that gum packet getting increasingly emptier, we don't have long to wait now before we find out more about the Duke's glorious return. To keep up to date with the latest gaming news, head to playerattack.com, but for now, stick around, we've got plenty more still to come.
Evolve is a 4 vs 1 competitive cooperative shooter from Turtle Rock Studios, the creators of Left 4 Dead. It is set on a frontier sci-fi planet at the distant corners of the galaxy, and it pits a team of 4 hunters in unique classes against an ever-evolving, growing, ever-changing, powerful player-controlled monster. It is a unique and awesome experience.
Evolve is a game for people who want a new first-person action shooter. A fast-paced, active, agile experience that gives you a jetpack and throws you into an alien jungle to face off against a monster 3 times your size. It's also a game for people who are sick of cookie-cutter classes. Each hunter team is made up of 4 individual character types. There's Assault, who is the primary damage dealer, Support, who brings the tactics to the battlefield to both attack and defend, the Medic, who must keep the team alive, and the unique Trapper, invaluable when it comes to tracking and capturing the monster. But even if you know which class you want to play, you still have to choose which individual person you'd like to pick within that class. Each one has their own weaponry and skills and brings something unique to the experience. Markov, the first Assault class we've met, can pop up his personal shield and get nice and close to the monster, where his lightning gun is devastatingly effective. Support class Hank can shield his teammates or even cloak them within a small radius, and can set up orbital barrage airstrikes. Val plays a more traditional medic role, with a med gun to heal individual teammates or a healing burst to fix them all, but she's also got a tranquilizer gun to slow and tag the monster, and an anti-material rifle to weaken his armor. The most unique hunter class in Evolve is the Trapper. We got to see Griffin in action with a movement-restricting harpoon gun, sound spikes to alert the teams to the monster's movements, and a very useful mobile arena to trap the monster and the hunters in one small area of the map. Obviously, Evolve is a game for people who like team play, but it's also for those lone wolves who want to single-handedly take everyone down.
So when THQ folded last year, we had the opportunity to evaluate Evolve and see whether or not we thought it would be a good fit in the 2K portfolio. We had a chance to visit with Turtle Rock Studios, see the game, play it for ourselves, and we really were blown away. So by the time we went to auction, we put our best foot forward and made sure that Evolve would be part of our portfolio.
2K's best foot forward came in at a whopping $11 million. There was only one other bidder publicly named in that auction, and it was Turtle Rock itself. The studio had scraped together $250,000 to try and buy its own game. It was so determined to make sure Evolve ended up in good hands. But why is Evolve named Evolve? To answer that, we need to look at the monster. At the start of any given round, he's still a hulking behemoth, but he's hungry and he's weak. He can be overpowered by the environment as well as the hunters, and if he's caught early, it's a one-sided battle that's not in his favour. And this is why the monster has to evolve. By catching and eating wildlife, or even an unlucky hunter if he can catch one, the monster can refill his energy meter. Once that's full, he needs to find a quiet location and evolve into his next form. This happens twice in the course of the game, and by the time the monster has reached stage 3, he's a giant, aggressive mass of a beast, now with strength and skills to outwit his opponents. The tides have turned, the hunters have become the hunted, and the monster is hurling boulders and breathing flame. There will be an assortment of beasts available at launch. We got to see Goliath, and he certainly lived up to his name.
Turtle Rock was really passionate about the core 4 versus 1 competitive cooperative experience that was at the heart of the title. They had set out a very clear roadmap of what they wanted to do, and also talked to us about the methodology that they would use to kind of take the game from where it was in development at the time that we acquired it to where it is today and where it will be in the future.
Birds in the air! Something's riling them up.
After spending so many years in stealth mode, Turtle Rock and 2K are bursting at the seams with ideas and plans for the game. We've already started hearing ideas of esports involvement, which, given the fast-paced competitive nature of Evolve, seems a perfect fit. We're also promised a number of hunters and monsters at launch, an assortment of maps, and even a variety of game modes beyond what we've seen so far. We've been waiting a long time for a game to fill the gap left by titles like Aliens vs Predator, to put a new spin on the 4-person co-op of Left 4 Dead, and to give us a new experience. It is early days yet for Evolve, but it's in very safe hands with the team at Turtle Rock.
The thing that I like about Evolve is that it builds on top of the pedigree that Turtle Rock has already built in both the competitive and cooperative genres. In competitive, Turtle Rock were key in making sure that Left 4 Dead was one of the best cooperative titles out there on the market, and you know, everybody needed to be a close-knit group and who had to each work very closely with one another in order to ensure their survival. On games like Counter-Strike, which they curate with Valve, they really focused to ensure that the game was well balanced from a multiplayer perspective. So they've taken these two key areas and blended them together to make Evolve, a game that is both deeply cooperative and awesomely competitive. It's great.
Stay tuned. While we were checking out Evolve, we also caught up with John Block from Turtle Rock Studios to chat a little bit more about the game, and we've also got details on how you can win your very own Evolve t-shirt. Where did the idea come from, 3-4 years ago, to make this sort of an asymmetrical game?
So the idea actually is older than 3 years. The idea came from even before Left 4 Dead. Chris Ashton, our CEO, design director, and co-founder of Turtle Rock Studios, had the idea a long time ago. Always wanted to make it, but never had the technology at his disposal in order to fully realize the dream. Over the years of working on other games at Turtle Rock Studios, like Counter-Strike, Counter-Strike Condition Zero and Counter-Strike Source, and then Left 4 Dead. Elements of those games kind of stuck out as parts of the design, and kind of relit the passion behind this idea. Particularly within Left 4 Dead, the tank battles. That kind of 4 versus 1 competitive adversarial and co-op gameplay that you'd experience when fighting against a tank really is something that we built a lot of the core gameplay experiences from this game around.
So getting back to the monster, because everybody wants to know about the monster, what sort of special abilities does he have?
So this monster, his name is Goliath. He's our bruiser, our fighter. He really likes getting into the mix and just brawling. So his abilities kind of center around that physicality, and also his appearance kind of centers around that physicality. So his main abilities are he can leap great distances and just smash down on top of the hunters. He can dash really fast to close distances or create great distances if he's trying to get away. He can pick up large boulders out of the ground and hurl them at a pretty far distance in order to cause some pretty devastating damage. And also, what would a monster be if he couldn't breathe fire? So Goliath can actually breathe a pretty substantial gout of flame out of his mouth. It's pretty devastating. What we really wanted to do with the environment is make it as realistic and alive as we possibly could. The various wildlife and even some of the plants play into the gameplay. There are carnivorous plants that if you step on them, they'll close over you like a Venus flytrap, and your buddies have to shoot you out of it, and otherwise it'll eat you. The wildlife varies from docile prey type creatures that their behaviors can be used as telltales for hunting the monster, and there's also various carnivorous or otherwise aggressive wildlife creatures. So it provides this variety of gameplay. As you're hunting, the hunters have to be mindful of what they're coming up against. Within each class, there will be multiple hunters that you'll be able to play as, each with their own unique items and weapons. They'll all fulfill the same role function of their class, but they'll each do it in a different and very unique way based on their unique set of equipment.
Are all of the monsters the same?
No. Each monster, we will also ship with multiple monsters, and each monster varies quite differently, depending, kind of spans the range of size, physical appearance, gameplay styles, just core functionality. It's just kind of like we're baking a lot of variety into the game.
Reaver!
I have one more question for you. Which class do you play?
So I kind of a mix between either the monster or the trapper class. I really like playing as the monster because it affords you the ability to experience stealth gameplay. I really like stealth games myself. I really think that it's super fun and super satisfying to sneak around and get the drop on 4 other humans. Being able to getting that feeling of satisfaction after having outwitted 4 other human beings it's pretty satisfying. And also with the Trapper class, I really like how unique it is. There are other games out there with co-op that have classes like a medic or support. They're really important to rounding out the playstyles in Evolve, but they are to some extent something that we've seen before. The assault is obviously very similar to what everyone's used to when just playing a shooter. It's the guy who gets out there and does all the damage. But the trapper's pretty unique. It's pretty unique to Evolve. It's pretty unique to the gameplay that we have. Your job is to track, trap, corral, kind of control the movements of the monster, and it's pretty unique. I think has some of the coolest weaponry and items, I think it's a lot of fun.
So we've just started 2014. How much longer do we have to wait to get our hands on Evolve?
So Evolve is coming out this spring here in Australia, fall for the US and for Europe, and it will release on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC.
So, what do you think about Evolve? Want to show off your gamer cred in a limited edition t-shirt? Thanks to the lovely folk at 2K and Turtle Rock, we have 3 of these Evolve shirts to give away to lucky Player Attack viewers. All you have to do is head to our website, hit the competitions page, and tell us about 5 classes that you can play as in Evolve out this spring for PS4, Xbox One, and PC.
Happy Valentine's Day! This is a time to celebrate all things of the heart, both romantic and platonic. So today, we're talking about my top 5 relationships in gaming. Number 5. Have you ever been in exactly the wrong kind of relationship? We've all been there. The type of person who is just not right for us. The person who is sweet on the surface, but through no fault of their own, often ends up hurting us. We carry them, we care for them, we get into fights we had no real reason to be in, and we spend the whole time absolutely loving it. BioShock's Big Daddy and Little Sister are the perfect simulation of stupid devotion to one another. From the cute adventures together around Rapture, to the viciousness of the beating that Jack receives if he so much as looks at the little sister wrong, to the tragic sight of a little girl crying over her protector. All point to 2 people hopelessly in love with one another, until the bitter end, where one of them is consumed as a resource, so you can shoot bees from your hand. Number 4. Stockholm Syndrome. It's a condition where victims of violent crimes begin to sympathize and relate to their aggressors. The most famous case was newspaper heiress Patty Hearst. Was. Now that honor belongs to Chell, silent protagonist, and GLaDOS, mouthy antagonist of the Portal series. Throughout their adventures together, they try to murder each other, get trapped in different testing zones, and get turned into vegetables. And it helps them get to the root of their issues, and work together. Okay, most of the issues actually stem from them trying to kill one another, but there are genuine moments of tenderness between them. It also humanizes one of the worst monsters in gaming, giving her a genuinely touching backstory, and making you think, maybe she isn't so bad. Number 3. I cannot imagine the pain of losing a child. It's a concept that's thoroughly explored in one of 2013's biggest releases, The Last of Us. Joel, a bitter old man who's lost a daughter, finds one in Ellie, the single most badass character to grace video games in recent times. Together they walk through a fungus-infested world filled with zombies, desperately trying to keep each other alive. This is what love is. 2 very imperfect people doing as much as they can to help one another survive, compensating for each other's faults along the way. One is an old curmudgeon in a world where he's lost everything. The other is inexperienced and optimistic, despite the world being destroyed. They match each other perfectly and give each other what they were missing in life. They complete each other, and that's what a perfect relationship is. Number 2. To say too much about the romance in Gone Home is to spoil one of the best games to be released in the last few years, but let me just say this. This couple is so strong and powerful that they don't even need to have appeared as characters in their game. The frank and utterly honest portrayal of young love between Sam and Lonnie has critics raving, and rightfully so. The fact that this game, which handles such a delicate subject in such a wonderful way, came out in the same year as Grand Theft Auto 5, gives me hope for the industry yet. As Sam chronicles the relationship to the player, mostly through letters and diary entries, you can't help but empathise. We've all been there, some more than others, and it could still be a painful memory for a lot of people. I may have already said too much. If you haven't played this game, go and do that. Number 1. Do you know what love is? Love is keeping your fiancée safe even when she's been turned to gold. Love is investigating an explosion you're 90% sure your boyfriend caused, even though you're mad at him. Love is sitting on a dock, using words like Love Muffin and Plunder Bunny unironically. Love is Elaine Marley and Guybrush Threepwood from the Monkey Island series. They are my favourite gaming relationship. They are the greatest couple. Together they faced ghosts, zombies, voodoo curses, demons, billionaires, and of course lots and lots of pirates, all by each other's side. That's not always been easy, but love rarely is. Through and through they stick together, through thick and thin and severed limbs. Nothing could ever keep these two apart for very long. They are love.
And that's about it for this edition of Player Attack. Thanks for watching. Next week, Johnny gets his scare on with brand new PS4 horror outing Outlast. We catch up with the team behind the next-gen Thief reboot and spend a little time with the revamped Lara Croft in Tomb Raider Definitive Edition. In the meantime, you can catch us on playerattack.com or on Facebook, YouTube and Twitter, and if you've got something you want to say, send us an email, mailbox@playerattack.com, or just hop on our forums. Till next week, I'm Jessica Citizen, and this is Player Attack.